The big red button.
It's not very big and it's not very red, but it has been pressed.
But it is the big red button. How's it going
Yeah.
today?
Welcome back to the New Music Podcast. We got your one regular jack off from upstate New York. So Kyle is busy doing other things. We're going to be supportive of that, but we have a returning guest, Mr. Justin Haskin. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
I've been doing pretty good. Been doing really good.
Good.
Keeping busy. You've been keeping busy.
I have been keeping busy. I've been
Holy
doing a lot of things.
Holy shit, man. It's interesting just watching your like every time that I open up Facebook and I see what you're up to, it's just it's always something interesting, always something interesting.
Thank you, man. I
So,
appreciate that.
uh let's start this one off. So for those of you that may or may not know who Haskin is, we definitely should know about him from Desolist because Desolist has been putting out bangers nonstop for the last couple of years.
Thank you.
But we talked a lot about Desolist and Lost Conduit last time we had you on the show, and it was before any of that stuff was released. So let me ask you how things have been for you since all of the releases have come out. We're talking Haskin and Lost Conduit. How's all of that doing since the last time we talked?
Dude, it's been doing great. The funny thing is we actually did that interview the day I finished the Lost Conduit album, if you remember. I literally
I
had
do
done
remember
like
that.
I did the very last session right before we did the interview, and I sent off the vocals that day. But Lost Conduit release was awesome. It was great to get not only just more music out, but another full length album because I have only done, that's my third, I think, and done like 3 or 4 EPs as well. But it was cool to get just another full length out and to the world. Haskin was fucking sweet as well. Released a couple music videos since we did that last interview, and one of them has been very, very fun to read the comments on because there's a lot of people that like it and a lot of people
Yeah.
that don't like it. And
Which video is that?
the season performer one, it definitely
Okay.
got more of a controversial view.
It was
view
also your first release too, so it was
uh-huh.
kind of like the introduction to the project as a whole. So it
Yeah.
makes sense why that one would get the most heat.
No one knew what it was gonna be like. I had a lot of people asking, "Did it gent?" And I'm like, "It does not gent. It does not.
Well, a lot of
Gent
those
is
might have just been people coming off of Lost Conduit, and Lost Conduit for sure,
yeah,
gents.
yeah,
For
definitely. I'm
sure,
sure
gents.
a lot of people were probably expecting me to do more of a full band type of release as a solo artist, and um, that's actually something that I kind of have thought about as well. Just having all the elements that I wanted to bring in right at the EP, keep
Hmm.
those, but maybe at times have guitar and drums and also, just keep it different, but also, maybe mix it up a little bit for people that want me to mix it up because I've been playing instruments my whole life as well, and I didn't really do any writing for any band. Anytime I've been in Before You Fall or Desolist or Lost Conduit, they were all just me doing vocals. I would let the instrumentalist just do the instrumental part, and I've been playing guitar for like 15 years, and I started playing drums right after that. Vocals is actually the newest thing that I started doing, but I can't say newest because I've been doing them for 10 or 12 years. But it was the
Yeah.
last thing that I started to learn. But the guitar and drums I've been doing since before any of the vocals. Not that I was good back then, but I definitely think that I could write some cool things these days. So there's times that, I want to keep a Haskin song the way it is, and then there's other times where I'm like, man, only for a section of the song I could have something happen, and just, I thought about it. So we'll see where Haskin goes. I don't really know. That's the cool thing about it being by myself. I may just
There's so many different ways to just kind of like up the ante and try to bring something new to it.
Yeah, so I don't really know exactly where it's gonna go. I have no Haskin songs now that they're all out. Just the 5 that are out are the 5 that I have. I don't even have a 10-second demo. So I mean, doors are open for me to kind of do whatever I want whenever I come back to it. I'm very eager to get back to it, but I'm
Hmm.
also eager to start getting back into Desolist. Desolist has a couple songs that we've been working on. One or two of them are actually pretty close to being finished. So Desolist is going to be busy, I'm hoping. Um,
That's what's up.
Lost, yeah, Lost Conduit. I think that we're gonna try and do some new songs, but probably won't be until the new year. So I'm about to have a baby, so I'm getting used to the mindset of I'm gonna be a dad and gonna be raising a little girl. So
You're gonna be very, very busy with that.
I know I
So
am,
how
and, and
how
and you're a
soon is she
father as well,
coming?
right? You're a
Yeah, because
father as well, right?
I have a 3-year-old son, and I just found out that I'm having my first daughter in February.
Oh
So
shit!
I'm gonna be joining the crew of people who have of dads that have daughters. Finally, I'm gonna get to
Congratulations, me
understand that.
too. We're gonna be
So
there together.
when's your baby due?
November, late
November?
November. Yeah.
That's a great. You're gonna have a Sagittarius like myself.
As of right now, her due date is Thanksgiving Day.
Hmm.
But it sounds like she's measuring big, so she may come a little bit sooner. We don't know how it goes, but it's
That's
September
exciting.
7th right now, so we got just like 8 weeks or something like that
Yeah.
till it's gonna be pretty close to the time. So uh, I got all the music out that I wanted to get out prior because I knew that life is going to be very different after that. And
Hmm.
I don't ever want to stop doing music, but it's definitely going to slow down a lot because I'm going to have more than just myself to look after. So
Hmm.
I'm going to be just writing whenever I can and tracking whenever I can, but it's nowhere near going to be, the type of music or the amount of music that I've been releasing, especially this year. Because, in the last 365 days, I've written like 20, 25 songs and I've released almost all of them now. And now I feel like it's a good time for me to be able to learn how to be a dad and get all that kind of stuff, under the wraps and, learn everything that I need to
Well,
learn,
you've been a
which is
stepdad for some time now, right?
yeah, yeah, for the most part. Me and her got together about a year ago, so I've been living with them pretty much since we got together too. So I know how to
So it's
make a
not
whole lot of sandwiches.
so so it's not going to be too much of a shift really. It's just going to be a little bit more responsibility on yourself, being that you're
Yes.
bringing this small being. You're going to have to
Oh,
raise it from that small little being into a
little
full-fledged
bean.
human being.
It's gonna be fucking awesome. I'm really excited. And I'm excited that it's a girl. Because I would have been super excited if it's a guy. I always grew up doing sports and being crazy and on dirt bikes and stuff. So a part of me wanted to have a boy. And then when we found out that it was a girl, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be such a little girl's boy. A little girl's dad or whatever you want to call
You're
it.
gonna be sitting there doing tea parties and shit, like still
Hmm.
looking like you, just hunched over, trying to
Oh,
pretend to
absolutely.
drink tea and stuff.
It's good, and I will, dude.
Yeah.
I'll drink that tea, bro. I'll do what I need to do to make my daughter happy.
Absolutely, dude. Oh man. So that's exciting to know that that is on the horizon.
Yeah,
Um yeah,
very.
so I remember you brought up that I think it was Black Spire was the
Yes.
other project. Is that still
Mhm.
something that's in the works?
Everything's done. I don't know what the holdup is.
Mhm.
Ashley, the person that has written all the instrumentals, like Lost Conduit, Black Spire is very pretty much the same as in it's a solo artist that hired me to do vocals. And
Mhm.
there's no drummer, there's no anything else. It's literally just me and the solo artist. And that's what Black Spire is. And the person that wrote everything is Ashley. And the 6 songs that we did together have been done since before our first interview that we had done like months ago.
Mhm.
So I had sent off all the vocals before the Lost Condo album was done, so that was completely finished, and nothing's been released. We wanted to do a music video shoot and that be the very first thing that we released, and then it wasn't in the budget, and then we kind of talked about doing a lyric video, and things just kind of like went
Have
away for a little bit, and everything's
yeah.
done. So I know it'll come out eventually, but I don't know if we're just gonna release it at some point, or if we're gonna try and release it in a very professional way and have music videos or lyric videos at the least, or if we're just gonna drop all 6 songs someday. But we talk every once in a while. I've kind of asked what was going on a few weeks ago or a month ago, and they were talking about I don't even remember what they had messaged me about, but I think it was about like starting like a band camp and wanting to upload it there. I'm like, we got to get it on like iTunes and Spotify and like
Mhm.
YouTube
You got to go
streams
through
and
all the
like
channels and everything.
yeah. And I was like, we can't just talk about like one specific thing. Like we got to go through like a DistroKid or a TuneCore or something
Yeah.
like that. But I'll after this video, I should probably message them and try and get it on um get the move on because I want all this stuff to be out too. There's
Mhm.
there's a couple songs I do like a singing, screaming type of vibe, and it's kind of like a Bring Me the Horizon, Linkin Park type of vibe, but with my
But
voice,
you
and it
talked
sounds
about this project being, as a whole, much heavier and much darker, right?
yeah. I can even show you guys a couple things. While I'm not screen sharing, let me pull up a couple things and see if I can figure it out. But yeah, I've had some of these songs were really nasty, really dark, and some of them weren't really dark at all. Oh no, did I delete them off my my Dropbox? I might have, because I'm not seeing any of them.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, I
And
got a couple
I'm
people
not on
that
the.
like if you I can show you who I'm talking about later, but we can talk about who might be able to help with marketing and stuff like that
Sweet.
after the call.
Yeah, sounds good.
But yeah,
Yeah, so Black Spire should be a thing at some point. Finished those songs almost at the beginning of this year. Like I said, Desolist has a few songs we've been working on. We have 2 or 3 of them that are pretty much finished. We're going through a different producer. We've always gone through Jesse, the original guitarist of Before You Fall, which was with me at the very beginning of my career, and he's just gotten to the point where he still loves production, he's still writing music and stuff, but I think that adding more projects onto his busy life just wasn't working for him at the time. And so he's like, you guys could get a different producer if you guys wanted. And we started looking at Matt Thomas from Sacramento, and we did one song with him. He did like Darko, and he's done the Kingdom of Giants new record, and we did
sounds like a good.
yeah, and we did a song with him, and it turned out fucking awesome. And I have the vocals are pretty much finished, but aren't completely finished. I don't know if I'm supposed to show any Desolist. I want to show something, but I don't want to get the Desolist guys mad at me. I could message the guys and tell them I'm doing an interview right now and see what they say. But yeah, I don't even know if I want to do that, because they'll probably just get the they know me. I'll be like, here's
like,
a little clip,
you're
guys.
Gonna show them
90
the whole
seconds.
fucking record
Yeah,
before it's
I know.
out.
I know.
I know you're definitely guilty of that, and
Yeah, I am.
we've appreciated that, especially on the last episode. You get to hear some. I think it was vocal only, which was, I believe, Dazed and Confused. Looking back on it, I believe so. I just remember fast screaming.
Yeah, I love soloed out songs. I can show you at least not Desolist, but another song that I was hired for. The very first person that actually hired me when I started putting myself out there as a vocalist for hire last June of 2019. He had messaged me and asked. It was like right when I first started making statuses, and he said we should do a song, and we did a song, and we released it probably right after our interview, but we just put it on Facebook. We didn't have like an official stream or YouTube or anything for it. But he asked me to do a second song, and I did the second song recently, and it actually turned out really, really cool. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna screen share and put this baby on. So, all right, this was a song that I did with this guy named Chris. Him and I are doing 3 songs now. One of them's already out. This is the second, and here's the third. I don't know how much I'll show you, but I'll skim through it a little bit.
I'm getting a Slipknot vibe out of that guitar riff.
So I just finished the song just a couple weeks ago.
Lots of little like change ups. I'm digging that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, let's skim through it a little bit. About to get brutal. Open it up.
Oh, okay.
Can't catch my breath, now I'm melting out from my dark overload. The start depression now still fits in me. It's me, a boss I can't defend.
Damn. Who's this for?
This is for a guy named Chris. I think Baltazar. I think how his name is pronounced. Yeah, that's with a
Fucking
guy named.
banger.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a guy with Chris Baltazar. Me and him, we did the first song like last June or something like that. I wish I had that open, but I don't think that I even have that anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sucks. Not on this computer.
Sounds like
But
you're trying to do some. You're trying to kind of mix up your vocal style a little bit because I'm hearing like I've noticed that you do some tunnely type stuff, but you always use that as kind of like a trick, not to be like something you hold out during an entire line.
yeah. Sometimes I will just add it in little things here and there, and then sometimes I will do whole lines. But I feel like I don't want to always resort to it, but I feel like it's the one that will always sound good. Like I'll always try new things around it, and sometimes I'll hear it in like a different perspective after the song's done. I'm just like jamming it, in the car or whatever. I'll hear certain lines, be like, man, I don't know if I like that tone. But the one that never lets me down is some of the tunnel stuff. So yeah,
Tunnels
since
work
Lost.
so well for highs.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I didn't even use tunnels prior to Desolist or prior to Lost Conduit. So there's none in the Desolist record. The whole Desolist album that we released, These Demons, has pretty much no tunnel stuff outside of on like one track when I was learning it. And now it's like one of my more main voices. So Desolist sounds a lot more angry and mean now, which I'm pretty stoked on. I wish I could show you guys a little bit, but I don't know if I should.
Well, the other thing is that I feel like I've noticed this a little bit more with Haskin and a lot of the stuff on Lost Conduit. I've noticed that your low register is kind of expanding. Is that something that like you've spent a lot of time working on?
I've definitely spent more time on trying new things. I wouldn't say that I'm like grinding out the hours trying to get better at it, but anytime I am tracking, it's normally like maybe I could try a little bit better lows here, and because I know anytime I ever get comments on any like vocal covers that I post in all like the deathcore groups and deathcore and metalcore and purecore and even slam, everyone's super into the highs, and a lot of people tell me to work better on the lows. And I don't know if it's just a blind perspective, but I've always liked some of the lows that I did. Maybe after Before You Fall, I was still learning it Before You Fall, but I liked everything I did with Desolist. But yeah, I definitely got a lot of those comments. So now I'm trying to show people that I can do lows. So I don't know if it's working, but
I'll tell you from my perspective, I think it works. But it doesn't have to be straight toilet bowl style gutturals in order for me to be into the lows, because there's so much more range to lows than just a toilet bowl guttural.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, I've been trying to learn more low stuff. I've never had a teacher. I've just always kind of learned by trial and error. So anytime I hear some nasty stuff, I want to try it. So I definitely do get stuck in the more nasty stuff whenever it's more experimental. But there's times where I'll also do like some of the Black Spire stuff. Almost like yelling, and like noted vocals, kind of like Bring Me the Horizon vibe or Linkin Park or any of those. Yeah, exactly. So there's times that I like to try new stuff with lows, but then there's times that I'm like, I just don't even want to be in a deathcore, part right here. I want this to be more metalcore or more, hard rock even. But yeah, the chorus that I did, the first song with Chris Baltazar, was totally like, man, I really wish that I had it up. I could probably find it on my Facebook because I actually think that I posted it recently. Give me a good old sec or two. But yeah, the Chris Baltazar songs have actually been fun because they're a lot different than Desolist or Lost Conduit. Yeah, I actually found it. Found it on YouTubers. So let me screen share again.
You have my permission to screen your share.
I wish that actually, let me do something real quick. Bam. There we go. So I needed to close that. That would have been not good to leak a song name of Desolist because I almost did that.
Oh, we almost got secret sauce.
Almost got the secret sauce. So this is the first song I did with Chris Baltazar. I'll show you guys the chorus because the chorus was.
I have seen this up.
Yeah, okay. It was on Facebook.
That's what you're talking about with the lows.
Oh, I haven't liked this. This was like right when I was learning those tunnels.
Yeah.
That was like more because it felt very chorusy. So there was a second chorus that was written. I was like, I need to do it like a real metalcore chorus or whatever, like a rock chorus almost. But I did that again on the second one. But there was, I think, a bridge in here that was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, so that was actually the very first song that I had ever been hired for that wasn't any of my own projects, some like, because I'd done like little guest vocal verses, but that was like the first song that I was actually like approached to do the whole thing. And listening to it back, I could hear how much better I would have edited it before I sent him those vocals, because there's things that I could definitely hear like right off the bat that I'm like, oh, I would have fixed that.
That could
and I
also
would've
just
fixed
be
that.
you like overthinking it too.
Me too, because I visualized what the stems looked like, because now that I track everything on my own, I don't have a producer that is looking over my shoulder when I'm editing the stems. So you really do second guess yourself all the time. But a lot of times my ear will pick up on timings that are just like the smallest fraction off, because a lot of producers will just snap your vocals to a grid. Like there's programs that legitimately already have it, like so they could see what timing it is, and you just press a button and it all just like mushes together in a
So how
perfect
much is that
robotic
program?
way. I don't know.
That's
Probably not too much, honestly. But
not anymore, because vocal plugins and everything like that have gotten really
everything,
cheap. All that stuff's
everything.
really cheap now.
Yeah, but I kind of, I'll hear those things be a little wrong. Like I've had producers that do snap to the grid, and I'll get the song back and timings will be wrong now. And I'm not saying that mine were perfect, but that's why it dragged to a different spot, because it didn't understand what timing I was going for. And I'm like, oh no, if that happens all the time, that would drive me freaking nuts. So I kind of like doing it manually and not just using a program to do it, because it's what you want to go for, but it
I
might
think
not know what you
most
want to go
people
for.
in the music industry would agree with doing it yourself rather than trusting a program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whenever I hear old songs like that, like the Chris Baltazar stuff was the only stuff that really didn't have like a big producer over my. Well, I guess Black Spire either, because the person that wrote all the instrumentals also produced it. But yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that. But
Well, I mean, I will say there is definitely a trend in metal where people don't prefer, well, they specifically don't prefer things to sound well produced. They want things to sound muddy,
more
or they want
raw,
things,
like raw.
yeah, more raw. And if there's timing issues, they're even more into that. I don't know.
I use so many layers that whenever you hear timing problems, though, it doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it's like cool and raw. Like when you use layers like me, you definitely need it to be perfect, or you can hear all the flaws, and it's not a cool like, oh yeah, that's real raw.
No,
Well, if
it's
it
like
was
we got
raw,
two
it wouldn't have all
voices
those
going at
layers.
different tempos, and it just, yeah, it definitely sounds messy when you hear that.
Yeah, not in the cool punk rock way. Like
Yeah.
Beartooth had that, like in my opinion.
Yeah.
Beartooth recordings wouldn't be perfect, and I would love that about it. I was like, yes, I love that Caleb would like have a terrible voice crack in a vocal line and just keep it. It's in the
I
song. I'm
was
like,
so
yes.
into like I don't know about any of the newer Beartooth stuff. I just remember that
The
first
early
couple
stuff.
songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that was like I don't know. Every time I think about Beartooth, I always think about that one video where the kid's walking around with a ceiling fan because they would just
Yeah,
go
the
that hard.
yeah, I do remember
It like
that.
that's where
Ceiling.
my mind goes every time I hear Beartooth.
Dude, I totally forgot about the ceiling fan thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember the day that he released the very first Beartooth track on Facebook. I was instantly like, "Oh, this is gonna be
this is
wild."
gonna be huge. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
and
think it was gonna be as big as they are, but they've also changed their sound a lot to be able to do
mhm.
that.
I was really into like being able to hear bass more in like earlier mix, like especially at that time because you never really heard bass was always just cleaned up in just a way so that it made the guitar sound better. But now you're
Yeah.
hearing
Yep.
these cooler bass tones come out lately, especially in
Yeah.
deathcore. It's really really cool because
Ching
I
ching ching ching.
yes, I'm sorry, but like that's my shit right there. Like
Me
I
too.
before I started getting into metal vocals and everything, that's what I did. I played bass guitar and I didn't realize why I liked it so much. But now like, you hear that like people going for almost that corn style thump and
Yeah.
like it's I'm a sucker for that
I,
shit.
I remember when Joey Sturgis first started doing that. He was doing it on like some of the Attack Attack records. Speaking of Caleb Chomo, and
Mhm.
like that was like some of the first time that I was really hearing that. And same with a couple Devil Wears Prada albums back then. I think it was probably with Roots Above. I was definitely hearing the more ching ching type bass in our scene of music. I was like, okay, I'm liking this. Maybe I was just ignorant and didn't even hear it in the other stuff. I just haven't gone back and listened to it. But that
I
was like
mean,
when I was starting to realize it.
everybody likes to shit on Joey Sturgis, which is really interesting to me
I've
that
always
like
loved Joey.
he's done such a great job molding metalcore and
Yeah.
I'd say especially metalcore because I don't have any like name worthy deathcore albums that he's produced that like come to my head, but like
Yeah. No.
everybody knows him for that iconic,
Yep.
the metalcore stuff, and it's
Like that, he was part of what I always expected my career to be when I was 18 or 19, because he was just the talk of the town, and I always wanted to sign with my dream record label and record with my dream producers, and
hmm
recording with Joey was definitely on that list. I mean, I was a super scene kid, like we all know, and
hmm
I was into everything that Joey produced. I loved Miss May I loved We Came as Romans, I loved Attack Attack and Asking Alexandria, and that whole scene of music that he's. I mean, he did everything. I mean, like literally like everything. Miss May I don't know if I said them. Like there's so many bands that was just like the walls opening for me to get into metalcore and deathcore, and like it made me realize that there's like professionals that do this. It's not like just some little hobby that you're screaming in your closet to record songs and throwing it together in like Audacity. Like there were people that were like legitimately really good at this, and there were producers that loved producing this style of music and making it perfect. And man, I just remember being so obsessed with like the Attack Attack and of Mice and Men records, and just knowing there's nothing wrong with these recordings and I love these songs, so it seemed like it's legit, everything's legit and serious, and I just took it way too serious. And Joey was definitely a part of my dream. I always wanted to record with him. But he doesn't record anymore. He doesn't really do anything besides sell plugins and sometimes
he
occasionally
doesn't have
mix.
to do shit anymore
Nope. Nope.
because you
He's
look
settled.
back on early videos, especially I think the one that's like probably the most well known is the videos of him with Attack Attack and their like
Hmm.
behind the scenes videos, and he used to do all that shit out of a garage, and that
Yeah.
shit was not the ideal soundscape, not the ideal kind of placement that you want to be working on music. Shit, even this isn't ideal. Like, I just put all this shit up, but it's all like it's that weak fabric type
Hmm.
that like it's
Yep.
gonna keep doing this. So
Hmm.
like, it's not about all of the stuff most of the time. It's really just what you can put together in that end
Yep.
result. And like he's paved the way for so many big metalcore bands to really break out.
Yeah, he definitely was like the stamp on that whole scene in my eyes, because there was like two or three other producers that I was even familiar with. Like, it was that small. I didn't know, a ton of producers that were like legitimate. It was literally just like I thought of like Joey Sturgis, I thought of like Cameron Mizell, and like just like the ones that were like all doing the emo and scene bands, because
Mm-hmm.
I just followed a cookie cutter mold at the beginning of my career, because I was just like, I want to be like these guys, and just followed every step that they were doing. And that's definitely where I was going. I was just like, I don't care if I have to sell my soul to record with my favorite producer to be on this record label, because a lot of the record labels, that they knew it, like the Joey Sturgis stamp on their band was like, it was a part of it. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
knew that Joey was good, and the record labels wanted Joey recordings. So back then it was like, could we afford to record a Joey out of pocket to get the record label's attention? Like, we're doing everything very almost backwards, but at the
I
same
was
time.
listening to Joey Sturgis on a podcast not too long ago, and I think it's the Punk Rock MBA podcast. But like he talks
Was
about
he on that?
oh yeah, him and Finn McKenty have had a relationship for years now.
Huh.
Have had like a professional relationship for years. He helped with URM and stuff like that. So if you know what URM is, you can probably really thank Finn McKenty for putting that together, because he was a big part of making online production type stuff
Hmm.
the way that it is now, like with webinars and stuff, be a
Yep.
thing. But when he was on that podcast, he was talking about how like when he went in for I can't remember what record label it was that he had like officially gotten onto, and they would just send him bands left and right and left and right. His big like thing was, I want to be able to own my own home one day, and that was all he really cared about, was just being able to own his own home one day. And I mean, it's amazing to see where he's come now. Like
Hmm.
he barely has to do anything.
Nope, yeah, especially with selling something that's invisible, like a program,
Mm-hmm.
like you don't have to have this big company that's like creating your product. It's like you literally create the product with, you and your team, and you put it on the internet, and it's buyable without it needing physical copies. People
Mm-hmm.
buy plugins, and they just like, yeah, that kind of thing. If you have any kind of success, you don't have to have the packaging. You don't have to have, like there's so much that probably goes into selling legitimate products that you would find in stores. But like,
Mm-hmm.
when you could sell it online the way that he does to producers that are on computers already, man, I can't imagine he needs to ever do anything else financially.
No, I think
That,
all he really has to do is just get on a call every so often and just talk. I think like the one skill he's really had to learn lately is how to talk,
yeah.
because before that it was all just, okay, let me just make some really cool sounding music.
Yep, and he did. Yeah, I always loved that whole scene. When I was literally just starting with music, I was always excited for anything that Joey was producing. Even like the Attila records, like he did like Outlawed, he did like their first, and you could
Did
hear
he
the
do
difference. He didn't do Rage, I
who
don't
did
think.
Rage? Because that's the
I
one
don't
that like
know.
everybody loves.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
it,
one.
it and the funny thing is, I would love it so much more if it had Joey's production, because
I'm
their
pretty
next
sure
album,
I would agree with that.
their very next one, Outlawed, I think that was the next one, was done with Joey. But Calvin actually got me into Joey. It was funny, or not Joey, into Attila. We were hanging out at one of our friends' houses, and we were all just, doing that, 16, 18-year-old thing where you just go to each other's houses and just like take turns putting on
Yep.
songs, or like, like just like, well, what do you know? And you just pull up a video. Well, someone was pulling up Attila, and I was just like, these fast vocals are interesting. I liked it right
Yeah.
off the bat, and everyone still says me and Franz are too
I think
similar, and
it's
I'm just
interesting.
following him.
I
I'm
would
just like,
love to
no,
get you two on a show together, because listening to your, like, obviously your mannerisms are way different, but you guys have a very similar vocal register, even just in your speaking voices. I
really.
think that's why your scream sounds a lot like why you probably get told that like there are times where you'll pull a certain scream and it sounds like Franz.
I think they mainly think the way that I write patterns, because I'll write patterns like, like 10 words all scrunched up together in like a short spot, and that's what Franz got known for. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to follow him in any ways. I just also like technical vocals, and occasionally I'll hold out long vocals, but I'm somebody that likes to mash vocals, lots of words into small spots, instead of, like 3 or 4 words before a breakdown, then hold it out, and then like I don't know. I don't mind the hold out vocals, but I've always been into more intricate things, and I know that he got famous for that, and there wasn't a whole lot of people doing that before him. So when
What
you
was the song that got you into Attila? What song was it that they showed you?
probably Rage, I think it was the music video, but yeah, I just always liked any of the fast stuff that he does, and doing it in like your nasal cavity makes it a lot easier and clearer, just like how Franz does it. So I try to stay away from it, and I try to do more tunnel stuff now, and Franz was doing all the nasal stuff, so I'm just trying to not do it as much, because I don't want to say that I hate that, but I don't want people to think that I'm not my own vocalist as well. So
I think with the backlog that you have now, I think it would be kind of ignorant to make that statement against you at this point. But
Sweet.
seeing Haskin, Lost Conduit, and I'm like Desolist. There we go. God, I hate when the
Desolist.
brain fart happens
There's
like
too
that.
many of them, man. There's too many projects.
No such thing, Justin. Don't let anybody tell you there's too many projects.
I hope that I don't look back when I'm older and be mad that I didn't put all my efforts into Desolist, because I'm just waiting around for songs to get written. And we kind of went on a hiatus, and while I was on this hiatus, I needed money, and I did vocalist for hire for like a whole year, and then after that I got a full-time job, and now I still need extra money, so I'm still doing that, and I love all the songs that I'm putting out. I wouldn't take Lost Conduit back for a second, even though that was a paid gig, but yeah, I always wanted to just succeed in my own band, and Lost Conduit did almost as good as Desolist in views,
Lost
and
Conduit definitely deserves that, though. I mean, come on,
yeah,
that's a
I
fucking hell of
agree.
a good record.
Yeah, he is an amazing instrumentalist. I love Drew. Drew's a great buddy of mine too. I'm hoping that we do more in the future. He's actually doing an album with Reese Peters. He's the guy that's in Babarusa, that was in A Night in Texas. He was on a Lost Conduit on a song on the Lost Conduit album, and Drew, when he hired him to do that little guest spot, they probably became real good friends. And Reese and I talked quite a bit, and I became pretty good friends with him. We had a day where we talked for like 12 hours freaking straight.
I'm trying to get
But
Barbarossa on the show, actually.
dude, their
I've
new
spoken to
album,
Kyle already so far, one of their other vocalists.
their new album is
It is.
freaking beautiful.
It is.
I'm so proud of Reese. But what I started to say was Drew hired him for to do an album like Lost Conduit. That's not Lost Conduit. They have just another brand new project. Here we go again.
I wonder what, because the thing about Drew, man, is he does not look like the type who puts out this type of music, man. I
the,
find
the
that
cool
very.
the cool thing that I think about Drew is he hadn't really, and maybe I'm ignorant to this and maybe he didn't just explain it well enough, but it sounded like he was never in a serious project ever. Ever, 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 ever. He was just like a local, guitarist, like jamming in the garage. It sounded like he told me that he used to jam with the drummer for A Day to Remember before A Day to Remember was a thing. I was like, really? What the fuck? But he
Damn.
he didn't, it was always just odds jamming. Yeah, right. And it sounds like he was just always doing that, and when he approached me, he was like, I don't want to get old and not have professional music out, so he hired me for the whole album when we had gone from there. But I mean, the amount of amazing melodies that guy can write and not seem to have a whole lot of experience in it. I mean, he might have experience, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, like, in the fact that no one knows who he is because of how good of a songwriter he is, like,
Well, I already talked to
why?
Drew about trying to get him on the show at some point anyway, so I
Sweet.
would love to pick his brain and see how he comes up with melodies.
Yeah, and you would also be interviewing him on his new second album with Reese Peters.
That actually it might be a good idea to wait a little bit, then
Yeah,
try to hit him up.
I don't even remember what the band name was. He told me it, and he's actually shown me some stuff. I haven't heard anything that Reese has tracked, but Drew was showing me instrumentals, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. When should I start? And then he was like, it's for a different project. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
How
I
did
gotcha.
that hurt? I know that hurt.
Yeah, it's cool. He knows that I'm also limited on time because the baby's going to be here, and I'm going to be probably not being able to track many songs for many months until we really get a handle on how we're going to do it, and then I'll be able to hopefully track again. But I know
Drew
that
specifically individually DM'd all of these guys to get them on the record, right?
Oh yeah, I did about half. He did about half, but he did everything. I mean, he paid for everything. He
Mm-hmm.
paid for my vocals up front for every single song individually, and then no, I think he actually gave me a big chunk at the beginning. But he reached out to a lot of people. I reached out to like Austin Dickey. I reached out to I got the Tyler Shelton thing to happen, which was cool because we were both sending messages to everybody. Like if we had a specific popular person like Tyler Shelton, he
Mm-hmm.
would message them and I would also message them. I was like we would give
You're
it a little
trying
bit
to
of
like
time in
test it and
between.
see, what is the reason why he'll answer this DM over this DM.
Yeah. So we
Gotcha.
were both just trying to he would message him, and a few weeks later, maybe I'd try and message him, and there were a couple times that we got messages back from people like a month or two after we had messaged them, and sometimes that song would already be done and tracked with a new guest vocalist. So like it was a fun experience, but he got like Dan Watson, Reese Peters, Andrew Patterson. He got Greg Gilbert. He had gotten Lucas Schmerler, I think that's how you say his name. Um, I had gotten Austin Dickey and Tyler Shelton, and I don't know. There's like 10 vocalists, 13 vocalists on there, so I don't even
It's
remember
a
half
lot.
of them
It's a
anymore.
lot to remember to just have to
Yeah.
spit out at any given moment. So
Yeah, but he did most of them, and he paid for all of them, and he also paid the production from Connor and Andrew from Bro Job. So yeah, without Drew, none of that project would happen because he wrote all the instrumentals and paid for everything to happen and paid me. So I wouldn't have even known what Lost Conduit was, and he wouldn't have even started it, written it, or I'm just so appreciative that not only is it dope, but that he paid for everything because he got to tag me along with all these popular vocalists and give me a big platform next to some of my favorites. And that was the cool thing about it was I'm not only getting to get paid for a good project and the music is freaking amazing, but I'm also getting to do vocals, as the main
alongside all of
vocalist.
these,
Yeah, tons of vocalists that were huge, being next to Tyler Shelton and Dan Watson and like Ben Dewar, just those three alone. I mean, those three are like
that's
some of,
huge.
yeah, those are some of like the faces of deathcore right now. So I was really, really appreciative to not have to pay for them
Mm-hmm.
and get to get paid for a good project. So, Drew, mwah, I love you, my homie. Let's do it again, though. Second album.
Let's
Let's
do
do
it
it again.
again. And another one.
And
And
another
another
one,
one.
yeah. So, now that Haskin is out, I've gotten to be able to get put in a category of what people think that I am, especially if they hate me. I
Oh
got
God.
so I got so many people that are just like, this is Ghost Main if Ghost Main sucked or something. Like I would always get those where
Well,
it's a
Ghostman
lot of
does suck.
but
Ghostman, I love you.
I don't. The funny thing is, like I said last interview, I didn't really know a whole lot of people were trying to do this genre. I thought that I was kind of making it up, but now that it's out, I've
Mm-hmm.
had so many people, pinpoint me into a group where it's like Scarlord, Ghost Main.
And now that it's out, you know who all of these people are. It's not like, before
Yeah,
where you're still writing
yeah,
it and you didn't
because
know
people
who.
won't let me not know now.
Well, think of this as an advantage, okay? Because if you get Ghostman and Scarlord to do a tour together, you get Haskin on that bill. Now, I know you said in the last one, you're like, fuck, I don't know about performing this shit live.
I could do certain songs and I could write new songs that I could do, but the thing that sucks is I might want to break something to the interview, but I kind of want to do possibly singing and maybe even some real rapping that's not screaming in it.
You gave us a
And
taste of real rapping, like a taste of it, because you had that little like creepy talk shit, like
yeah,
fuck.
yeah, and I don't know exactly. Like I said, I have no music written for Haskell, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I've been into a lot of you know certain types of raps that will have a little bit of melody in the way they perform their
Mm-hmm.
rap, and I really like it, and I've always wanted to try stuff like that. And the cool thing with it being a solo project is no one can tell me no. So I want to try a couple things. If I don't like it, it's definitely not going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to try some stuff like that, and I've been listening to NF has always done stuff like that. Even some of the new MGK stuff, even if people would just want to talk shit on it, I've been really liking some of the MGK stuff that he's been putting out this
People are
year.
only pissed at MGK because he started his emo phase after getting dissed by Eminem,
Yeah.
and they want to say, "Oh, this is him before Eminem, before he dissed Eminem, looking thug, and then now he's wearing a pink dress because
It's
he
bad
can't be,
timing, but
he can't,
he
you know."
probably loves this attention because like
Oh yeah,
MGK was he was popular before this, but like now that all this has happened, he's definitely on another level, and he's
I mean,
probably it's exactly what he wanted to do.
say what you want, but he's out there working with Travis Barker.
Yeah,
What more
exactly.
needs to
Like,
be said? Like the man's
yeah,
doing well.
yeah. So there's like a couple songs that he'll be rapping, but he'll also kind of put a little bit of melody and almost sing certain lines. I'm like, man, that would be really fun to try out. I don't know if I'd be very good at it. So
Hey,
I'll
practice makes perfect, though.
yeah, and then I love practicing to people. Like all those songs that I'm listening to. It's cool to sing along to them and like try it and see if what I'm hearing I think would be possible for something that Haskin could do in the future. But I don't know. And the thing that sucks is I've always been somebody that can't do both performing wise, singing and screaming. My screams are too harsh on my voice for my singing to still sound clear, and it's
Hmm.
not like my voice comes in raspy when I try and sing after I scream. It is just like really bad cracking and almost isn't there. So I'm too much of a perfectionist to ever want to bring that to a live setting. So the thing that sucks is I want to write songs that are easier than the season performer EP so I can perform them. But if I bring singing or any kind of regular rap to the project, that'll be in the opposite direction of performing it because I won't be able to sing anything and also do, any of the older songs or, anything that's real heavy. So I don't know what
You
the
know
plan
your
is.
limitations, and that's healthy.
Yes, yeah, I know that because I almost became the Before You Fall singer way back in the day when Calvin was wanting to take a break from the band and he wanted to focus on being a dad and he had left and we were trying to figure out who was going to be our singer and Jesse ultimately became our singer, but for weeks or a month or two I was thinking that I was going to be having to step up and be a singer and a screamer, so I was like learning to do certain things and I could sing Visions. It was like a really really low singing chorus and that one was easier for me, but if I ever start like having to project or like sing in a head voice, it's just not there after screaming. So I
Hmm.
want to make all these Haskin songs that have like different intricate vocals, but if it ever comes to like wanting to perform, which I do, then I'm not going to be able to do some of them. So I may have to write certain songs for performances. I might have to write certain songs just for, a record or as a single just to show that I can and do it for fun.
I mean, it not everything as it is because a lot of trap metal or even emo trap artists they have such a large discography that there's no way they're writing all of these songs to all be performed.
Yeah.
And it's really just the bangers, as they may or may not call them,
Yep.
that they're gonna try to perform, the ones that do well.
Dazed and Confused, I think, is actually pretty performable.
I would
Not
agree.
Season Performer. Season Performer has
Yeah,
lines that are like 2 times as long for the amount of breath that I have. Like twice
that's
as
the
long.
fun of it. That's the
So
fun of it.
yeah, because like this whole EP was written as a studio project. I wasn't giving a shit about what I had to do to get the record done. I just
Hmm.
wanted to have the record the way that it is. I just wanted to put out songs that sound the way that they sound, and no one was there to tell me no because it's a solo project. And I
Hmm.
was just like, I just want to do it this way. But as the project's gotten a little bit off the ground, I'm like, man, if I do want to perform this, probably can't do that again. So, season performer, I don't know. I haven't really given it a good try. But Dazed and Confused, I was doing a little bit in my bedroom a few months ago, and I could actually get through it. So there's certain songs that I even thought were good enough to shoot music videos for that are performable. So there's a chance that Haskin will do something in the future. So we'll see. But I'm definitely never gonna stop that project because if any time I'm ever in a band that kind of falls apart, just like Before You Fall did, or just like my very first band,
Hmm.
before even that, I mean, everything kind of has its time. And I don't think Desolist is going anywhere right now. We're writing a bunch of music, but if I'm in my 30s or if I'm like 40 years old and I am not in a band anymore, I could always continue Haskin.
Hmm.
Like I could even turn it into a freaking rock band band, or I could turn it into this, but because like that's my name, so I could do
Yeah.
whatever I want with it. So I kind of want it to be a lifelong project, no matter how active or inactive it is. It'll always be something I can come back to. So I think that I'll always do it. But
So
Desolist.
something we haven't talked about yet is that you got I think it was Dazed and Confused got on the what the fuck was that reaction channel that
Tulip Mafia.
Tulip Mafia. Okay, so first of all, I have to
Hey,
ask you, like,
hey.
did that guy even contact you beforehand, or like what?
No, I actually tried messaging him when Season Performer came out. I
Mhm.
messaged him on Instagram and asked if he would do a reaction for Season Performer, and I did it on my popular Instagram that had a bunch of followers. So I was like, maybe he'll take it more seriously, and he didn't even reply. But then when
Mhm.
Dazed and Confused came out, just showed up late at night, and my girlfriend found it first before I did,
Mhm.
and I was fucking hyped. It was
Because
my
I
birthday
think,
too.
okay, first of all, that's a great birthday present.
Yeah.
But I think what he does is that he does based off of his Patreon subscribers. So if you're already on there, he'll take recommendations from you guys. But he's
Cool.
like, it's a
No,
smart way to do it though. But
I've loved that guy's channel. His
Mhm.
Infant Annihilator reactions are so funny, because it's just like
because he doesn't listen to this shit
no,
outside of just
no.
his fans being like, hey,
He's
do a
he's
reaction.
super he's super into Ronnie Radke, so I
Hmm.
know there's parts of him that likes heavy music. He's not just doing it for the views. He seems pretty obsessed with Ronnie, which is cool
Hmm.
because I grew up obsessing over Ronnie and Escape the
Hard
Fate,
not
and
to. That guy's
that
career
was
is legendary.
he was the whole reason why I started. Him and Billy Joe from Green Day. Like it was Green Day first, and as I turned, 12, 13, 14, whatever age it was,
Hmm.
I moved and I had a neighbor that was into some heavier stuff, and I had an Atreyu shirt, so I know that I knew some of the bands or whatever. But me and her clicked real fast, and her best friend listened to Escape the Fate, and I remember it was the year that Diane's Latest Fashion came out when I was listening to it, and I became just borderline obsessed with the whole entire scene right after that because I was playing guitar and I would have like the red tie and like being Billy Joe Armstrong in my mirror playing guitar because I had my whole wall in my bedroom growing up was a mirror. The whole thing, it was just a whole mirror wall. And so, being somebody that wanted to get into performing and playing guitar, I would just watch myself in the mirror. It's just a kid's reaction or
Yeah.
a kid's instinct. And I was just turning into a little punk Billy Joe Armstrong kid with a little red tie, and I'd be playing Green Day songs. And luckily, I found Escape the Fate and that whole Bless the Fall and The Word Alive, and We Came
Hard
as
to say where
Romans.
your
And
career would have gone if you hadn't found heavier music.
yeah, no, I have no idea. And not that I wouldn't have liked being in a band like Green Day, but I wouldn't have been the singer. I would have been a guitarist or a bass
Hmm.
player probably. So I kind of like where I ended up landing, because I got way too big of an ego to be a bass player. Come on.
I mean, Pete Wentz is a good example of being a bass player who is, I don't know. I feel like
Well,
being a bass player, you could have still done it, but
that whole time growing up though, it was just like Ronnie and Max to me. So even looking at Max, he was a bass player with a spotlight on him too. So it's always
mhm.
possible. But I'm a midget, and being a midget and having a guitar or bass doesn't make you look as cool as
Especially a
being the
bass
midget
because
vocalist.
that
They're
it
so
being
big.
how tall are you?
6 foot,
How tall are you really?
5'11".
Okay, fair enough. All right, we're about the same height. Doesn't matter how tall. It doesn't matter how tall you are though. The bass guitar always looks bigger.
I'm
Always.
5'5".
Okay, there's nothing wrong with being 5'5". That's not even that. I think Kyle's like 5'6". I don't know.
I would
But
die to be 5'6". You don't understand.
you know why short people are always my favorite? You want to know why?
Because they make up for it with their egotistical personality.
Just no. Just their personality makes up for it.
Yeah.
Always.
If you have if you hate yourself for it, you can't. You just gotta laugh it off, bro.
Yeah,
If
that's
you're
facts.
if you're a short midget, you just gotta own it, and you
Yeah.
gotta make your personality own up for your midgetness. I know you're not supposed to say midget, but I'm the short one here, so.
So it's like I'm gay. I can say fag. All right,
Oh
so
no.
I just got canceled.
The
But
end.
no, No, it's
1 sec. What? My girlfriend's saying you have to be under 4'10" to be a midget. I'm still saying I'm a midget.
I mean, my wife is 5'2", 5'3", something like that, and she still calls herself a
She's
midget.
she's a quarter inch taller than me, and we're not
Oh, that
talking
must be
about it.
great.
No. She's always like, "You're a perfect height for me." I'm like, if I was a quarter inch taller.
Nobody knows or cares about that quarter of an inch, okay?
I do.
Oh, we still love you, Justin. We do.
Well, thank you. What else we got? Is that all
Um,
we could think of?
I think that just about wraps it up. We got a nice lengthy, about an hour or so of juicy content.
Good. It
If
wasn't as
anybody,
long as last time either.
what's
Last time
that?
it was like 2 hours. It was
Oh
like
yeah,
2:10 or
I'm trying
2:15.
not to do the episodes or even the interviews as long anyways. I'm finding that long form's good, but extra long form, like movie length, is a bit much.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I ended up needing to talk about Calvin that whole first time because I hadn't really done an interview since then. I just kind of ran away from the cameras for a long time, and now I'm
Yeah.
fine with talking about everything. So I'm sure that was a big reason of why the first one was like
Yeah.
2 hours.
No, that's great. Honestly, I felt so privileged to have that on our show. So
Yeah,
I will say
me
thank you
too.
once more that like
Uh,
you gave us that beautiful moment.
Oh, of
Um,
course. No, it was nice to be with somebody that's relatable too, instead of it being like,
just some invisible stranger, really.
yeah, no, I like you guys a lot over there, and I love what you guys are doing. I hope you guys can. I want you guys to score a huge interview. I think that would be so
We're
good for
working
your
on it.
guys' channel. Are
We're
you?
working on it. We've got a bunch of names that we're like pitching around, but also like a lot of up and coming names that like we're
Mhm.
trying to stay, good relationships with. And that's really the struggle because I know I personally have a hard time keeping up with people.
Mhm.
I have my family gives me a hard time for it all the time. So yeah. But yeah, I suck at keeping friends. I'm really good at making friends. But
Me too. Yeah, no, I'm about the same way. But really, I hope you guys nail a big interview to where your channel can start getting more attention because you guys have great quality stuff. I love your setup right here. Even looks really good.
thank
Your
you.
yeah, no, you had something similar last time, but it wasn't this setup, was it?
Well, because I moved. I've moved twice since the last
What?
time we've yeah,
Twice?
I'll keep it short because this is not going to get cut out. But so long story short, I moved into a place in Waterville, which is about 10 minutes away from where I was living in Troy, and that place
Mm.
turned out to be a complete fucking shithole. Having a
Oh.
pregnant wife and a toddler in a home that had mold and the worst ant infestation I have seen ever was just not good. So we stayed there for about 3 weeks before we got into the place we're in now. And this is a closet. I'm sure you saw me stumble to try to get out the door,
No,
just to go
it
to the
looks
bathroom.
great though. It doesn't even really look like it.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Of course.
There's a little water heater right behind this.
Oh, nice. It
We're
looks good
we're
though.
working on it. Thank you.
It looks good.
I got Kyle working
Should
on his setup and everything, so we're trying to look the part because we
hey, you
definitely don't
guys
sound the part.
you guys definitely look the part. Does he have a good microphone as well?
His microphone is not a good microphone. I gave him a microphone I got for free on Facebook Marketplace.
Hmm.
So his audio is coming in a lot better, but it's a slow process. All right, we've been at
Move,
this for a
move.
little over a year, and we're
Yeah,
trying to build, and not try to skip any steps because I do feel like we still have to pay our dues.
moving up though.
Yeah, it's the plan.
What's the other interview you're supposed to do today, or should you not say?
Oh, I don't mind saying it at all. Jeremy from the band Earthgroans. We've
Oh, nice.
got him coming on. He's been specifically requested by one of our long-term fans, so it'll be really good to be able to have that conversation. And I'm sure that this one may or may not come out after or before, so either way, it'll work out. But
Sweet.
there's a lot of people coming back to the podcast and a lot of bigger names that we're working on just finding the right time to get them on,
Mhm.
which is always the biggest fucking problem with doing a podcast is scheduling.
Yeah, yesterday I fucked up, and then today I kind of fucked up as well. But I did end up getting everything good, so we Gucci.
We Gucci. Kyle was supposed to be here today too, but then something happened and now he's out trying to get laid. So, oops.
Come on, Kyle. We got this. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. Well, dude, thank you so much for having me on again. I really
Thanks for
appreciate doing a
coming
second
back.
one. Of course, dude, it was fun being able to talk about the Haskin Lost Conduit stuff, and also a reminder: Black Spire needs to come out. I need to punch somebody to make that happen, because I got like 6 songs that are done, and like they could be out. And that one that I also showed you earlier is gonna be hopefully coming out here soon, and I'm doing a 3rd one with him. So also have a couple more songs coming out post Baby, but
Post baby. Baby's important.
Baby is important, and I'm very excited for that.
All right. Well, thanks again for being on the podcast.
Dude, of
Absolutely, guys.
course.
If there's anybody you want us to talk to on the show, I'm sorry, camera's up here. Let us know in the comments, man, because we want to
Elon
know
Musk.
who you want us to talk to. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, Joe Rogan,
You know what? I'd love to get Elon Musk on here to talk about what music he listens to, because I'm
Joey
sure it's all
Diaz.
techno.
Conor McGregor.
Connor,
Come on, you guys got this.
I'm afraid to talk to a fighter because I might say the wrong thing and he might find me and kill me.
Those interviews will be the best.
Oh my God.
Anyways, though, that was
Yeah.
really fun. Thanks, bro.
No problem, man.